So I have a small presentation that I will walk you through. But before I get into the presentation, let me ask you a question. Uh, have you guys ever worked on your mental health? If I can get some people to share, if there is something that they think they do for taking care of their mental health. Aparna, do you want to kind of kick this off?
Okay, so people, what Kapil wants to say is many a times in our life, many a times as we traverse through our lives, we come across situations where we feel that our normal intelligence or our normal capability of thinking gets disturbed, and at that time we seek help in the and that help.
Actually, Aparna, that's really not what I'm trying to ask. I'm actually going a little bit before that. In a normal scenario, we all, there is a lot of stigma. There is a lot of conversations that say people don't want to talk about their mental health and people don't really want to work on their mental health. I'm asking if in this particular set of people, what's your view? Have you ever worked on your mental health? Is there anything that you think you do in your life that you would say would classify as me working on my mental health? Okay, that's actually the response that I was really looking for. And the response is almost nobody really either works on their mental health, and even if they think they do something, they don't want to really talk about it. Okay, and thus the fundamental question, how do one work on their mental health? Okay, what I'm going to try and do today is to actually talk to you about, number one, what does mental wellness really mean? In this complex world of where everything is changing, where everything is becoming more stressful, where there is a fear of a war on one side, there is a fear of climate on other side, and then there is another fear of contagion or a disease or healthcare on one side, and of course the ongoing issues that people have related to meeting expectations of others, and the usual work and other related pressures that are available, visible for everyone. In such a complex world, there is a stigma that says people should not work on their mental health, but they keep struggling with their mental health. Now, when I started, okay, so my journey, let me, now give you a little background about myself. So my name is Kapil Gupta. I'm the founder of Solh Wellness, which is a mental wellness platform. But I'm very much a corporate professional like you. I don't necessarily come from a mental wellness background. So I am not a psychiatrist or a psychotherapist having done, MPhil or something in psychology. I saw a problem, specifically a problem that was happening in the educational world and that was happening in the corporate world, which was an increasing amount of people struggling with their mental health. And that is where I began Solh Wellness, which is an organization dedicated to work towards mental health. Okay. We essentially are trying to provide people an environment, a set of capabilities and solutions through which they can get better help for themselves as and what they need. Now, let me ask. So earlier I asked you the question, have you ever, any of you, do you think you work on your mental health? And the answer really is most of us don't. Very few of us do variety of different smaller activities. Somebody will do a music, somebody will do a meditation, somebody will do a yoga, and perhaps 1 in 10 or 1 in 20 people would probably go for some kind of a counseling session. If somebody gets very sick, they may go for a pharma neuro intervention or actually visit a psychotherapist. Now, while that is the general understanding of mental health and general understanding of how people work on their wellness, what if I tell you that all of you 16 hours a day or more are actually only working on your mental health? So let me repeat that again and let that sink in. More than 16 hours a day, every individual, each and every one of us, from the CEO of the company to the peon of the company, is only and only working on their mental health. Every decision making of our life, what food we will eat, when will we sleep, who will we meet, where will we party, which travel will we go to, where we will have our vacation, who is part of our circle, and most decisions, even in your workplace, are actually driven by your mental health. These are decisions that all of us on a regular basis take just to ensure we have better mental health control for ourselves. And what this is essentially meaning is there is a growing mental health pandemic. There is a growing issue that is encompassing us all. The issue is being driven by what I call as the 4 C's. Contagion, which means the fear of infectious diseases. Conflict, which means the fear of wars and also the internal conflicts that we have within ourselves. Conformity, which essentially means the fear of or inability to meet our expectations from ourselves and inability to meet expectations of others from us. And fourth, climate change. And climate change, one, it becomes a challenge for few people who worry about the sustainability of themselves or at a larger context, humanity or life overall. Or it also could essentially mean all the various problems that happen due to extreme weather patterns, whether it is increasing amount of asthma cases, whether it is breathing disorder, or whether it is other various kinds of disorders. So what has happened is in all of our lives, there is a huge increased amount of pressure. And nowhere is this pressure more visible than in the corporate world. So in the lives of people like you and me, that stress is clearly visible. So some of you who are team leaders and some of you who are managers would be seeing that in your individual teams all day. People having more work-life balance issues, people having more work stress issues, people having burnout, people having issues like quiet quitting, where they are essentially doing bare minimal just to ensure their paycheck comes at the end of the day, or people who are totally disengaged in the work environment. Essentially, all of this leads to a work policy or a work environment wherein there is unhappiness, wherein there is lack of productivity, wherein there is higher amount of attrition with people leaving and other challenges between the team and outside of the team developing on a regular basis. And that's where we come in. So when I say that most people more than 16 hours a day are only working on their mental health, they are still missing something. And what they are essentially missing is the vocabulary to call whatever they do as mental wellness, the tools that they can use or that they can incorporate as part of their regular work so as to embellish what they are doing from a wellness perspective. And third, last, definitely not the least, a framework to build around them, a framework that is going to help them categorize, classify, and sincerely get help as and where they need. So let me stop for a minute in case there is anybody who has a clarification or has a question to ask. The point I am making is all of us work 16 hours or more in a day, and that is associated with what we do for our mental health. However, we lack the vocabulary, the tools, and the framework. So does anybody have any questions on this? If not, I can move forward to the next point. Okay. This is where we as Solh Wellness are pitching in. And what we are doing is a sincere, approach wherein we want to empower people with tools and solutions to take care of their mental health on a regular basis. So to create a more balanced environment for them on a regular basis, to get help as and when they need, to avoid getting into situations of anxiety or panic attacks, or avoiding getting into the situation of burnout, or definitely avoiding getting into the situation that normally would lead to depression or depression-like environments. And how we are doing this is these three set of tools. The first part of the tools that we provide is what we call as self-help tools. These are tools that any individual can use by themselves on a regular basis. And they consist of, number one, screening and self-assessment. So we have created variety of different programs through which people can check their happiness quotient, their stress quotient, some tendency of ADHD that they may have. They could check their sleep patterns or their insomnia and other psychometric evaluations or other ways in which they can look at where do they stand right now. The second part of what we do is goal setting in the self-help tools. So for a lot of people, for a lot of us, we are only able to function better if we have the goal to look forward to, a milestone that we want to achieve. So within the environment, we have given a capability within this platform for people to set up goals for themselves. The third part of our self-help tools is the mood meter, mood analysis. Essentially, let me explain mood analysis. So mood analysis is an ability for us through the Solh mobile platform to be able to upload or update our mood on a regular basis. And then there is a history that is created off of that. And now let me ask, let me give you a scenario. We all have this aunt that we hate. All of us do, right? Is there anybody in this room, please, if you can, identify yourself that doesn't have an aunt that they hate? We all have aunts that we love, but we have this one aunt that we hate. Assuming in the last 1 month that aunt was visiting you for 4 days, and you look at your mood meter analysis for the last 1 month, and you identify and determine that those 4 months were actually happier than the other 26 days of the month. Those 4 days were happier than the other 26 days of the month. And ask yourself, do you really hate that aunt? And reverse that scenario to think about, those of us who are in a long distance relationship and your partner is visiting or you are visiting your partner. And then again, you did that for 4 days. And at the end of the month, you realize those were the least effective mood days for you. You were in the worst of your moods during those 4 days. Are you really in a healthy relationship? So basically, the mood meter provides you insights into your moods on an ongoing basis. And then, of course, we provide a lot of content, best practices, tips and tricks and everything, which is part of our read and learn. So these are tools that an individual can use by themselves as and when they want. The second part of the tools that we have is what we call as community support tools, which is where we provide people an option to journal. Journal is, write a journal that is visible to others, or write a journal which is like a my diary visible only to you. What we have created on top of this is we provide 100% anonymity as an option. So when you are doing journaling, you can choose to reveal your identity, or you have an option to have an anonymous profile within the platform as well. So you can choose to write a journal as an anonymous person, depending on what you are doing, depending on whether you are comfortable with the content or with what you are sharing or not. You can choose to do it anonymously or choose to do it yourself. The second part of community support tools is Social Buddy, which is essentially social networking created within this system. So you can look at journaling and Soul Buddy, a combination of journaling and Soul Buddy, as like your Facebook or Instagram, with 3 distinctions. Number one, on Instagram, most people share, the food that they don't eat, the clothes that they don't wear, the people that they don't meet, and the places that they don't go to, basically the life that they don't have. Because this is a committed mental wellness platform, people usually share real stories. People are actually doing stuff which is in line with the core mission that Soul Wellness has, which is to provide people with mental wellness support. The third part of our community support tools is support groups. Okay, there is a support group we have, which is for work-life balance. There is a support group for toxic relationships. I mean, we are in the Pride month. There is a support group for LGBTQ. There is a support group that is there for women empowerment. There is a support group that is there for, for mothers, and so on and so forth. And there is a support group for adolescent issues and other aspects as well. And people can join these support groups and basically get aligned to like-minded people. To give you an example, the stress support group on the platform already has nearly 14 to 1500 members in place right now. And similarly, other groups have, some have lesser in 10, 20, 30 members, and some have 400, 500, 600 members. So different groups have different kind of reach and different kind of audience size that is already there. The user also have the ability to be able to create their own support groups. However, they have to, of course, go through a level of moderation for them to be effective. The third part of what we do is what we call as expert services, which is where, number one, we provide people with clinical intervention. So clinical intervention will mean access to a psychiatrist, a psychotherapist, a psychologist, or a counselor. Also, we sincerely believe that people get mental health support by also working through their stimulations. For somebody, it could be yoga. For somebody, it could be music. For somebody, it could be dance or art or meditation or, naturopathy or healing or religion or spirituality and all that. So we provide allied therapy services in addition as an add-on to our clinical intervention. The third part of what we do is packages and subscriptions and basically, content solutions on top of that. And the fourth, and what is essentially right now probably the most used part of our environment is a feature called as Talk Now. So whenever you go to the platform, if you are feeling overwhelmed with emotions right now, you can straight away click on Talk Now and you can get connected to a soul counselor. Let me clarify. This is not an emergency or a suicide prevention helpline. This is for people who are feeling overwhelmed with emotions and would rather get some help for themselves right away. The next part. So while we have all of these tools, how we work with corporates is essentially in the following manner. Our approach is to introduce work-life balance and boundary setting for mental well-being through our work as Soul Wellness. As part of that, we do the following things that I'm going to show you in the next few slides. Number one, we offer employees an unrestricted access to a wide range of self-help tools for mental well-being, which is, basically the tools that I just showed you. And also along with that, we do workshops with the corporate to generate awareness or to get employees to participate in more mental wellness thinking for themselves. And along with that, to become much more sensitized towards mental wellness for others. One of the challenges that we are seeing in the workplace is there is a set of people that struggle with mental health. And then there is other set of people that many times are insensitive to it. What we try to do in our approach to do mental health workshops with corporates is to sensitize and get people to be more empathetic. It is extremely important to be incorporated within the managerial and the leader level of the company, but absolutely it is important for every individual within the company as well. Along with that, we also do screening and assessment. And we can essentially do screening and assessment across a wide range of employee base. Some of this screening and assessment is done, through the platform. And some of this screening and assessment is also done physically with our counselors helping to lead the screening and assessment approach. We usually like to do this screening and assessment once every 6 months while we are working with a corporate, because it also lets us do a before and after study and kind of a comparative look through of what we were able to do and what we were able to achieve with the particular corporate. Next, we develop comprehensive programs specifically to address issues like burnout, anxiety, stress, and other common challenges. And as I mentioned earlier, some of these are done through the concept of allied therapies. So these could be yoga session or art sessions or other sessions as they may be appropriate for your audience, depending on the kind of employees and the kind of work profile and other attributes associated with them. Then we provide individual counselings. What we usually do as part of our subscriptions is we include a certain number of sessions for the corporate. Those sessions can be used by any of the individual within the company. And that is how people are able to get help for themselves. We also ensure a strict level of confidentiality and privacy, because all of this data, all of this counseling, all of this work that is done with individual employees need to have a very critical layer of privacy associated with it, which is of course something that we create and manage and we provide to every specific employee. Some of our subscribers, some of the corporates that we work with, they will provide certain counseling sessions to the employees. And beyond that, they will also provide the employees with an ability to pitch in with some funds from their side, and the corporate will fund the rest for them to get more counseling sessions as they may need to take care of their mental health. What has really happened over the last few years is, one, as I said, mental health issues have expanded exponentially. And number two, there is a lot of younger audience which is very comfortable with the idea of counseling and which actually want to look for avenues to talk things through. Next, we provide a user-friendly, intuitive organizational dashboards that provides insights into organization is proceeding from a mental health perspective on an ongoing basis. So this is essentially the broad overview of what we do as Solh Wellness. Let me stop and take questions before I talk about a little more of how we can work together or what we can do.
So, Kapil, about how to go forward, we will talk offline.
Sure.
I just opened the session for the questions. Team, do you have any questions, anything that you would like to ask Kapil?
So, hi Kapil, this is Ajay.
Hi, Ajay.
So, when you say talk now, is it for a specific time or is it round the clock?
It's round the clock. Let me also say, very late in the night, sometimes the availability of a counselor may not be instantaneous. During the daytime, it is instantaneous, but in the night, we do the best of our ability. As we are expanding, this will become 24/7.
And how many counselors as of now who can be reached?
Right. So we have 250 plus providers that are enrolled with us, but this is part of our marketplace, 100 plus allied therapists, and internally we have a team of 6 counselors.
Okay.
So to answer your question, 6 counselors in-house, 250 clinicians all across the country registered as providers in our marketplace, and 100 plus allied health providers who are associated with us.
So at a given point of time, for example, I want to talk and it's like maybe 2 a.m., right? So is it 6 or is it 200? The
It's
pool,
6.
6.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is...
And Ajay, that is basically us working through how much workload we have and how we are growing as an environment. We are still a very young company. The intention is actually to increase this 6 number to 600, but only if I have organizations such as yours registering and working with us in a larger number.
Correct. So based on the demand, then you will also work on increasing the supply from your side, right?
Absolutely. Till 2 months back, these people were 2 in number. Now they are 6, and we are growing reasonably rapidly.
Got it. And one last question on the same topic is, maybe I kind of know the answer, but you maintain the history and you connect with the same person, or it's like you can choose between the 6, right? It's like the subsequent sessions.
So whenever you would use the Talk Now feature, whoever is the person that gets connected, okay, that person will see the entire history.
Okay, so they know it's not a start from scratch again.
Absolutely, you don't have to start from scratch. We currently have more than 65,000 downloads of our more than 65,000 users of our platform, and we get more than nearly 200 or so conversations on Talk Now on a daily basis.
ఎందుకు ఊగుతుంది రిక్లైనర్ మొత్తం ఊగిపోతుంది ఎందుకు
Thank you.
So team, whoever is not speaking can go on mute, please.
And Kapil, do you have screenshots of your app, or is it open to public? Anybody can go and download.
Actually, that's a great question, Mohit. So number one, for an individual user, the application is today and will forever be available for free. So, but an individual user. For an organizational user, it will be based on a subscription. So as an individual, any of you can go in on either the Android Play Store or an Apple App Store, look for Solh Wellness, SOLH, and you should be able to see the platform.
And what is the difference between the two?
The difference between the two is a user will get access to all of the tools. An organization will get an organizational view, will get a lot of individual and organization level artificial intelligence based triggers, will get access to some included counseling sessions that they can of course pool across the entire user base, and will get access to some unique workshops and all that will be organized and that will be conducted for the corporate itself.
Got it. And how many organizations are you currently working with?
We have done close to 20 such engagements so far.
20 engagements. Okay.
Yep. So these include some schools, some universities, and some corporates.
Okay. Thank you.
Hey Kapil, one question. This is Murthy here. So when you said like you have done, is it like you have done the sessions, or they are all actively engaged with you right now?
So actively, we have 65,000 users that are active on the platform.
And the corporate users, I mean.
Corporate users. We have 4 to 5 corporate users that use it on a regular basis. Other places we have done workshops and we are conducting workshops on an ongoing basis with them. And of course, as we are growing, some of those are in almost the finalizing phase of starting their collaboration with us.
Okay. Do you have any testimonies that we can actually look at? Like is it on your platform, or do you have any specific database where you can direct us to see those testimonies from your existing corporate users?
Sure, I can share some of the testimonials with you offline. Actually, let me do one thing. Let me actually see. I should be able to show you something on YouTube.
So Kapil, for example, we check out the journaling feature, right? And people have posted public journals, their public emotions and all of it. Say I don't want to see that. I don't see a filter of, it is more like individual posts saying I don't want to see, compared to can I create my own group? There is the question.
Yes, you can. However, some of that customization is going live in some time.
Got it.
So currently, because the number of journals that are happening are still lesser in number, we have kept it open. At some point of time, you will only be seeing journals that will come from people that you are in connect with.
Got it. And what kind of checks do we take? Can anyone message me being part of the same Solh group, or it's a very private group?
The Solh groups are so. If you join a support group, the expectation is that people will be messaging you on the support group. They can send you an individual connect request, but you can choose to connect with them or not connect with them.
Okay. And where does that group concept come in here? I see home, journaling, get help, my goals, and then anything related to my profile and things.
No, if
Where
you
is the community or the group?
Sure. If you scroll down on the platform, at the top, you will see help now, talk now. Underneath that, you will see an area for journaling. Underneath that, you will see screening and assessment. And underneath that, you will see support groups.
Search for support groups for you. Is that
Groups for you. Exactly.
got it? Okay.
So
Okay.
if I can show you, this is how the platform would look like. At the top currently is talk now. And as you scroll down is the journaling area. And as you scroll down is the screening and assessment area. And as you scroll down, you will get to goal setting or, support groups. And these are the groups for you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So anyone else, if you have any other questions, either related to the platform or, in fact, related to any specific work-related mental health issues that you or anyone in your team or in your organization may be, struggling with.
Hi Kapil, this is Kavita here.
Hi, Kavita.
Will this program be covering only the employee, I mean the one person alone, or the family will be covered as part of it?
I guess that's a good question for the corporate to answer. As a subscriber, the corporate can choose to provide it to the user or or their families as well. However, the families can in any case use the Solh platform for free as a consumer.
Okay, so in such a case, how the transparency will be maintained? Say suppose husband and wife both are the sole users, right? How the data will be secured for both of them separately?
Are you asking how will I ensure that the husband is not able to see the bitching that the wife is doing for themselves and vice versa? No. So let me, are you saying between them or are you saying outside of them?
First is between them as well, and it applies to even outside to the world as well. Because this data is personally for one person who is going through some support needed over here. And that's where, of course, the person do not want to share any such a data with anyone else, right?
Absolutely, Kavita. So first of all, let me say, we have created anonymity as an option for exactly that reason. Mental health conversations are extremely personal and extremely sensitive and extremely individualistic to a person. If you are using anonymity, nobody would be able to figure out it is coming from you. That is number one. Okay. Number two, as a user, your user data, if you are doing a journal and if you are choosing to put it out publicly in your name, yes, it will be available publicly. So, but if you are putting out some post or something which is in a close group or which is for yourself, or you are using it to write a my diary, it is your own only and not visible to anyone. As an organization, Solh Wellness has some key priorities for us. Number one, as I said earlier, the platform is today and will forever be free for consumers. Number two, an individual's data will never be shared with anybody outside. Number three, even when we talk about corporate subscriptions, the corporate subscription would mean there is a dashboard report of wellness that is provided to the employer. However, individual circumstances, individual sharings, or even details of individual sessions is absolutely not shared with the corporate. So does that answer your question, Kavita, or is there something other specific that I should look at?
No, that answers my question. One more question from my end.
Yes.
Say for example, if the person is going through lack of like focus or concentration, how this program will help that person to gain back the confidence and especially the concentration or focus?
Sure. See, if a person is suffering from a lack of concentration, a lack of focus, or is even suffering from, either a burnout or anxiety or stress, okay, they would probably go through our journaling, our support group, or our mood tracking as functionalities, or they will set up a counseling session with the counselor. Within that, they will go through either a CBT or a DBT, or some other evidence-based mechanism through which they are able to seek help for themselves. So, as I said earlier, either they will use self-help tools, or they will use community support tools, or they will take an expert service for getting support for themselves.
Okay, thank you, Kapil.
So, anybody else, is there any other question, anything specific that I can provide clarification or answer?
Kapil, this is Panda. Are there any success stories while using your application, wellness application?
Oh, absolutely. As I said, we have 65,000 users. Many of them have taken counseling with us. Many of them are using the journaling and the support group function. The one challenge that I must also mention, Panda, is we won't be able to share specific details of the individuals because they are always confidential. We have multiple different, feedbacks that we have received from people, and the feedback has been, really stupendous so far. One of the founders of Solh Wellness is actually a psychiatrist based in Australia who has a decade of experience working as a psychiatrist in UK NHS and a decade of experience working in public health in Australia. So we are extremely well covered from a clinical intervention or from a clinical veracity perspective.
Got it. Are there any doctors are listed in your website?
There are 250 clinicians that are there. Out of the 250 clinicians, there are more than 20 psychiatrists and I think more than 30 psychotherapists.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Sure. And also, let me also answer your question by saying we are also providing this platform to a few hospitals. In fact, we are just beginning a pilot with a hospital chain based out of Chennai. And we are in conversations right now with Singapore General Hospital, which is probably one of the largest public hospitals in Asia.
Okay. Got it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Why is journaling option by default public? Shouldn't it be private and then if they can then change it to public, right? By default, if we keep public and then they just post it and then they can't take it back.
So I hear you, Ajay. And I mean, truly the answer is currently the numbers are reasonably small. So making it public will essentially, because people are not connected with each other as much right now. The social networking part of the environment hasn't kicked to that level. We provide anonymity as an option for that purpose, so that people, when they are doing journaling, they are able to do the journaling as anonymous. Really, I mean, and think about this, Ajay. If you want to do a journaling that you want not to be shared with people, then you will do the My Diary. Then it's a journal that you are doing in the form of My Diary for yourself, not really posting it out in the public. And My Diary is absolutely provided in the environment.
Yeah, so the feature is there. The default feature is a public post.
Yes, I realize that. So, anyone else, any other questions or clarifications?
Yeah, hi. Let's say there is a person who is suffering and your support team thought that you have to meet him or her. So how do you make it?
Okay. So we have support across the country. As I said earlier, and I'm sorry for, sounding like a broken record on this. We have more than 250 clinicians. So if you are based in Hyderabad, or if you are based in Chennai, or if you are based in Bangalore or Mumbai, or for that matter, any other city, there is a high probability that we will have psychologists or psychiatrists in that particular area. So if we have to set up physical sessions for you, we will set up with them. Otherwise, we would be able to provide you with online counseling sessions through the platform. One other thing that is very interesting that we have done is we have actually created what we call as a sole provider platform. So our providers, when they are doing counseling sessions with you, have a much more expanded tool within which they can fill up your mental status examination, take notes, exchange reports with you, and
Kapil, I am talking about a physical meeting here. If you want, we have to, suffered person has to go there, or they'll come.
In case of corporates, we can provide a capability where a counselor visits the corporate, every sometime.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, so, for example, we are actually working with a school where we are providing a counselor to visit them once in a week.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, any other questions, anyone?
How frequently is the assessments updated? I see like 7 or 8 assessments. Are these like the ones, or how many more can we expect in the coming weeks?
See, these are fairly standardized. So let me say, I absolutely cannot create an assessment by myself. I am not scientifically or otherwise capable of. Even a psychiatrist is scientifically and otherwise not capable of creating an assessment. These are standardized tests or standardized mechanism. This is not gamification on the platform. So, there will be more, more assessments that will be coming on the platform. But these standard ones will always remain. So, Ajay, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the emotions are standard, the assessments also need to be standard. It can't keep changing.
The tests are standard. This is based on DSM-5. So the tests are standard. It's not that I or you, or for that matter, two psychiatrists or psychologists could get together tomorrow or create an assessment test. These are standardized tests that are there. In fact, when we conduct them either in the online environment or even with our counselor in a group physical environment, these are called as screening and assessments. These are not called as psychometric evaluation. A psychometric evaluation can only occur in a closed, in a doctored environment, or in a controlled environment, in the presence of a RCI certified counselor or a RCI certified psychotherapist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, our purpose of doing these screening and assessments is to, in some ways, do red, yellow, green, and say, here is a person that may need a little more support because of their current state or because of what they are going through.
Okay.
Kapil, one question here.
Yeah,
Actually, for my son, his school has provided before Corona one app to us. It used to calculate how much is the left brain works and how much right brain works. According to that, analysis was shown up. Sorry, I don't remember that app name, etc. So what is the difference between, what is the outstanding thing which is there in your app or all those things?
Sure.
Specifically for the young generation, because they are more towards the devices and everything.
Sure.
So,
So, Kavita, let me first of all say, neither am I looking at creating a game for the youth, nor am I looking at creating an environment where they can purely get entertainment. I am a serious mental wellness business. I want to help anybody and everybody who is looking at mental health support for themselves, who is looking at becoming, feeling better about themselves, who is looking at tools and solutions to empower them to be more effective, more productive. The application that you are talking about, I don't know the name of the application, but there are enough and more gamifications that you would find in the industry that will give you all sorts of personality traits. I mean, on Facebook, you can find your personality in a jiffy. That doesn't have any scientific or other basis to it. We are a serious mental health business. There is a lot of youth audience that works with us, but they work with us because they have challenges in their life that they are looking at getting help for. So, Kavita, did I answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, Kapil.
So your son should absolutely use our platform, but should use our platform to get mental health support. If they are looking for entertainment, I mean, internet is full of different avenues for them to get entertained, whether it is a YouTube or some game or something else.
Actually, it's not for the basically kids to go for the entertainment app, etc. But as a parent, somewhere the parent wants the child to concentrate on few things, right? Which they do not do because of all the other options availability. So that's where if we want to use this particular app for the mental assessment or the focus of the child and everything, then it should be useful for the kids, right? That's what the question was about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So some of the screening and assessments would be useful for them. A lot of times parents these days are struggling with kids who have a mild case or an extreme case of ADHD or of autism for that matter. So they are somewhere on the spectrum. The tool helps them identify such aspects, helps them create specific programs for them, and helps them use, whether it is allied therapy or other attributes to be able to get help for them.
Okay.
So we have a few more minutes left. If anybody has last questions.
Hi, Kapil. My name is Carol. I have a question on outcomes. So individually, you have some plans and assessments and people will benefit from it. But at an organizational level, have your clients or companies come back and said that after implementing this for a certain period of time, we have seen a reduction in leaves, people are happier and we are more productive. Do you have any testimonies on that front?
So to be fair, Carol, we are a much newer environment to actually be able to give you with this data in a statistical manner. We have received feedback that says there is good progression, and progression is at 4 different levels. One, progression in terms of more acceptance of mental health conversations amongst employees. Number 2, progression in terms of more people opting to seek help. Number 3, more kind of sensitivity amongst the leadership in terms of being supportive or being in terms of organization providing help to the people. And number 4, in the overall organizational culture itself. But if you are asking me, are there specific, research statistical data, then we haven't gotten to that point yet. We'll probably get to that in some time in a few months, but we are not there yet.
No data, but yeah, some good feedback from.
Yeah. So, let me give you an example. I did a workshop with Physics Wala. Okay. So we were doing some work with them. After a workshop of 40 employees within Physics Wala, 3 employees came and took individual sessions with us. This is even before they became a subscriber customer with us. This is just them calling us up for a workshop, 40 people coming and 3 taking individual sessions, and 3 individuals paying for those sessions by themselves. Of course, those 3 individuals are getting help with their stress, getting help with their burnout, and getting help with their work-life balance.
Okay, that's nice.
Okay.
So, any screenshots in terms of with mask data, in terms of the reports that are generated for an org?
See, the reports that are generated for an org right now are all customized reports. Okay. The detailed reporting automated feature or dashboard is currently in the works, is not live yet. There is
some
there
of the
is a lot
factors
of-
that is part of that report, right? Sorry.
So,
What are some of the factors that are part of the final report?
okay. Some of the factors that are part of the report are, assessments based on the screening that was done at a consolidated level, not at an individual level, but at a consolidated level. Changes that have happened in that screening assessment tests. So those test results on a ongoing time basis. Mood tracking and giving that report at a organizational level on a week by week basis. Okay. Similarly, other attributes like, how many journaling, how many support group participation, and other things that happen from the organization. So basically, for the organization to know how people are working. See, one aspect that we are very clear on is it's not a question of who is mentally doing better or who has better mental health or less of it. The question is how many people are working on an ongoing basis to get support for their mental health. If anybody is using the platform, we say they are getting support. We have this concept of PsyCap, which is actually psychological capital. Call it, for lack of a better term, call it loyalty points or platform usage points that we give to people based on various features that they use. Based on that, we are able to determine how many people are actually getting help from the environment. And those are part of the reports that we generate or that we provide to the corporate. At a later date, Ajay, what we are going to do is there is 4 levels of data input that will come into Solh Wellness. One data input is going to be facial emotional recognition, where we will integrate welfies that people will take and will upload into the environment. The second input that will come will be based on the usage of the platform, the PsyCap that I was talking about. The third input that would come will be from the screening and assessment tests that people would do. And the fourth input that would come is we will be doing hardware integration with platforms like Fitbit. Based on a combination of these 4, we will generate much more consolidated AI-based reporting at a later date. But let me be clear, that is, way into the future. Okay, that's the mission that we are working on. Can we make it? Can we create an environment that everybody uses, everybody gets help for free, and organizations create dashboards, organizations create reports, and organizations take subscriptions where they get a much more intricate result and a much more intricate involvement with us and get better help for all of their employee base.
So for an individual, other than the counseling sessions, everything else is free.
Other than the counseling session or a light therapy session, or every once in a while when we will do group workshops that they can register for, enroll for, pay for.
So you take care of the vocabulary, the tools for the individual basis.
And the framework as well.
Okay.
See, you may not get full visibility into AI-based triggers for yourself as an individual. That is going to be available for corporate and subscribed users. But the base availability of tools, so the base capability for people to get mental health is going to be universal and is going to be free. Let me actually also mention one more thing, which I'm so sorry I missed out mentioning earlier. Our platform is multilingual. Currently, we have the platform developed in English and Hindi, and we have some bits and pieces of Tamil and Arabic and French. And coming up and integrating a new language, is a reasonably easy job for us because the platform has been created that way.
Sure. Perfect. Looks good.
So guys, I mean, just to kind of put things in perspective, there is many different mental wellness organizations that are looking at getting 100,000 paying customers. I don't want that. I want 10 million users and 100,000 paying customers. So I want to democratize the availability of mental wellness support for the community, and at the same time get enough subscribed users that I make money. So on that noble note, I guess, Aparna, back to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kapil. Thank you, team. We will reach out to you, and Kapil, we'll connect offline for once we have the feedback
Sure.
from this group.
Sure, Aparna, sounds great.
Yeah. Mohit, anything from you?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you so much, Aparna.